Welcome to the Garden of Rose. My name is Cécile Masson. I'm the author of Rose Letters of Love to Life, on which the garden is based. And I'm really happy to welcome Anja Krueger in this garden. Thank you, Anja, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Cécile.
You're more than welcome. So just to introduce you a little bit, you have a passion for walking. And years ago, you were an e-learning consultant, and at some point you felt an inner calling that really said, hey, I need to go and live at the feet of Mount Sinai. And you met there a special person who really guided you for many years in walking heaven and earth together, meditating and bringing your soul purpose into being. And yes, you've walked in many places. You walked in Santiago de Compostela, you walked in Denmark, you walked in New Zealand. So you walked many miles. And at some point you discovered also the gene keys that seem to add something to your practice as you invite other people as well to walk with you. So welcome. Anything else you would like to add about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. And indeed, yeah, it's a lot about walking. And what I found and what I maybe want to add here is that for me at some point, because I felt I was really living in the conditioned way. I was conditioned from my birth or in school, like we all are. And then there was a point with the walking, I noticed that is my way to find who I am. And that feels also like my passion to take people, not necessarily on the walking path. The path will be different for each of us, but to dedicate their life to finding like who they are, to become who they are meant to be, really. And then, as you said, the gene keys can help us to know more about ourselves.
Beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
you're joining the Garden of Rose, and you've read Rose Letters of Love to Life, the novel on which the garden is based. Is there anything you would like to share about Rose or the book in general that touched you, that did something with you, and that's why we are here today?
Well, the first, I have to say, the book really changed my way of reading. I mean, I sometimes read books just a few pages every evening before I go to sleep. And that book like didn't want that. It felt like it asked for respect. So in my second try to read it, I went to a coffee for 1 or 2 hours and read the book there to really give my attention to it. So that was really touching for me, that there was a book that kind of changed me in a way, changed my way of reading. And now sometimes I take other books in a cafe, and I really enjoy that, to have dedicated time with a book.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for that. And about Rose, I mean, because I'm passionate about community myself, as you know. And I just love how through the character you show what that can mean. And that's not like a mass of people always needing to agree. It's more like a place where somebody has a strong vision, as Rose has, I believe, and is very honest about her motivations, and endeavors to be really open to everybody, because she knows the people she needs in the community should be people who know who they are, who know which are the strengths, and she needs different people. She needs somebody for the finances, somebody for the garden, to be a gardener, and so she's able to select the people and feel herself into building the community in the way. And then at the same time, she is with the land. She really looks at the land. that she kind of got as a present in her life, right? That was given to her as her destiny, maybe. And she looks at it with respect and kind of listens to the land, what wants to be built somewhere. Yeah, and I love her, I mean, the openness that I already mentioned, but for example, the generosity towards the way her granddaughter finds her way. But that's again just an example of how she knows, Rose, that she needs to let people find their own way and then become really strong and like pillars in the community.
Yeah, yes, indeed. The community is as strong as each part of the community can be, and for that, yeah, that seeing each other's essence is important, so that everybody can be fully present and contribute in their most beautiful way to life, really. In letters of love to life. And as you know, Rose stands for respect, oneness, synchronicity, and ecology. And letters refers to the head cluster of intelligence, so the analytical intelligence that we have. Love, obviously, to our heart intelligence that doesn't know any boundaries. And life that takes us along is our autonomous nervous system and so much more, as you know as well, in the practices that we share. So, yeah, how does that resonate with you, that Rose, letters and love to life? In your way of guiding people on the walks and with the gene keys.
Yeah, I find that respect is really central to everything, to every relationship we are in. So what I found on the walks that I have done, or the two, particularly the 2 years that I dedicated to walking, is that I started to be in contact with spirits of certain places. And there was one, and then I felt like the land was teaching me respect, for example. I remember a moment on Iona, like a beautiful sacred island in the west of Scotland, where I was visiting. And I had this, oh, I need to get in contact with the spirit here. And then the land was kind of saying, well, no, we will not answer you. First, you open your heart to us. There was this feeling of, I noticed this, we don't communicate like this with you if you have a motivation or an agenda. So what I felt like, I was opening to the beauty of the land and let that touch my heart. And from that place, it was very easy to then communicate with the land. And that was such a strong lesson for me. And I know that's the same with every human being we get in contact with, and with animals as well. So that comes when you say the word respect. And yeah. And oneness, I had a few situations during those 2 years that I felt like somehow life was, or nature was letting me in. At the end of walking the Camino de Santiago, there was a moment when I was lying on an area with lots of stones. And I had gotten so soft with myself and with life in general at that point, maybe also from the exhaustion after walking for so many kilometers. Yeah. I felt like the stone was opening to me, and it felt soft. So it felt like, oh, everything is energy, really. Also, what seems solid is not so solid, really, and that connects me to the oneness, because then we are all one, because everything is energy. And with the synchronicity, what comes for me are the gene keys in a way, because they are based on the I Ching, and that's can be looked at as a divination tool, which kind of asks like the synchronicity of that moment. What does this moment want to tell me, or what does the divine want to tell me in this moment as I throw the cards and or the coins? And equally, like when we are born, that's the most synchronistic moment, and that moment has certain planets stand in certain constellations, which really then has an impact on our whole life. And the last one is ecology.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and then there's one place in the book where Rose is sitting in this meeting with lots of men, if I remember correctly, and at some point she slows it all down. I love that about Rose. She knows that things can only emerge if it's in its own time, really. And looking at life in a more general way, that it's good and vibrant for each part, if in nature or in human relationships.
So that slowing down, that rhythm of, just stepping back. And in that particular moment in the book, she's actually, because of all the situation she's living with the family, she's disconnecting. And that actually startles a little bit the people present, because she's not there as she usually is, holding the as the responsible for the estate. And that startles the man present, and then they slow down, and then she can tell her truth, which is transparent, which is very much in what is playing up for her, and is not always following the expectations of a direct, linear way of doing things or organizing things. But that in that particular moment, that showed up in that way. And I think we all know in our lives that there are moments that we slow down because we just need to survive or to make a better decisions or whatever. So thank you for bringing up this particular theme in the context also of femininity and gender equality, etc. Yeah. And obviously that invites us also to talk about how we resonate with our head, heart, and the rest of our being. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you invite people into your practices and what you would like to bring particularly to the Garden of Rose?
Yeah, I notice, I mean, through this grace of being given this practice of walking with the heaven under my feet, I feel like the most important part is that we acknowledge that we are both divine and human, that we really in every moment in a way need to acknowledge that and embody it as best as we can, bringing spirit or consciousness to ever more parts in ourselves. And what I feel is in my offerings, when we walk with a question that we have or an inquiry, that in a way we're telling the universe, I am divine and I'm walking and I'm on the earth, and inviting like the whole wisdom that we can have access to. Because in that moment we are widening in a way to everything. I mean, to the cosmos as well as to the earth, and it's not easy to stay in the mind anymore, which is great. So we are losing our identification with the mind and opening whatever our inquiry is to the world, and becoming a receiving vessel, which is very feminine. All of a sudden, we are not like defending ourselves anymore, but we are receiving the wisdom and learning to open different channels, how to receive that with that wisdom.
Because of the rhythm, isn't it, as well? Because of that rhythm of walking that brings a certain balance into our being, which helps also to relax certain stuck mindsets and certain patterns that we are used to. Would you say that that is the practice as well? Is to just loosen up and just be in the moment walking?
It is yes, thank you. That's a big aspect to even in a way we acknowledge that we're always changing. Yes, that we're not just one in the moment. And there's the rhythm, and there's the walking that we've probably done like forever as humanity, like in our memory. And then there's this maybe simpler things of we are getting a chance to be conscious in nature. I know many people who want to go for walks, but they somehow never make it outside. Or when they walk, they keep like thinking about their problems. And this is an invitation to be in nature, actually seeing the beauty, right? As my lesson was, seeing the beauty and seeing the trees and starting to be in communication. I'm really opening our heart to the earth, which also connects us more to everything that is going on, really. And it's about the senses. We are like all our outer senses are being tickled in a way, much more when we are outdoors in the nature. We listen to the birds and we maybe feel the rain on our skin, and we feel we feel the ground on which we walk. And then when our outer senses are fulfilled in a way, then we can also open to our inner senses, which one of them could be intuition, or like which then step by step introduces us to our inner life, where really everything starts from.
So the walking, that rhythm is really also, as you said, as from within, what's in living in us can come out in another way than if we are not conscious of what's outside of us. So
Yes.
walking is a practice to become aware of life itself, actually, and how beautiful it is, this experience here on the planet, with all the struggles that we do experience within the duality of being human. There is a very deep, secret, mystical space where we are united with heaven. And Rose refers to that several times in her own words, but indeed it's about that. And with the walking, you bring that in a physical aspect as well, to be truly present and let the monkey mind be silent, if I understand it properly.
Yeah, in a way to be really more in tune, and also step by step notice that there's not so much difference. If we let the outer world in, we notice that there's not so much difference between our inner and the outer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the gene key, how do they support that walking practice? Well, I mean, maybe there are some people that will listen to this conversation who have no idea what the gene keys are about. So can you tell us a little bit more about the gene key and how you combine both your practices?
So the gene keys for me are a mythical mirror, really, of our DNA, of our genes. And so there are 64 archetypes And each of those archetypes is kind of on or present for 5 or 6 days through the arc of the year. So the sun goes through each of those archetypes every year in a wheel, and that would be our life's work. So the archetype under which we are born, the position of the sun on our birth, that has an effect on what our life's work is, what we are here to do in the world. And so if you do your, give me a moment. So I've been studying the Gene Keys for 4 years, and I met the Gene Keys while I was walking. So it really felt like a synchronistic part of my life, and to be integrated in a way. And I mean, whenever I meet something and I feel this urge inside of me and the energy for it, I follow that. And that definitely happened with the Gene Keys. And so what I like is that they are based on astrology and the I Ching. So as I already said, the I Ching is integrated through this wheel in the year. And they give us a sense of the main themes or archetypes we have to work with in our life. So there's 64 in total, and you can, on the Gene Keys website, and I guess we can put a link under this video on the page. You can put in your date of birth and place of birth and time, and you get your own profile, which shows you the 11 archetypes that you mostly work with in your life. And it shows you in which part of your life those archetypes will mostly have an effect on you. And what I love about the Gene Keys, it's not in like a stream of information and you have to learn all these things about it, but it reveals it, the wisdom of the Gene Keys reveals itself through contemplation. So for each of the archetypes, there would be like 3 words, like a shadow state. And if I take my life's work as an example here, there's the shadow of feeling inadequate. And so that would be the state of feeling like a victim. Like, I mean, being given a situation, I feel like I can't do this, then I'm feeling like a victim and I feel inadequate. But instead, like if I live life on a bit of like a higher frequency, then I can move into the gift state of being resourceful. Which means like even now, if sometimes I feel I can't answer a question, I know I can trust into my gift of resourcefulness, that I will find the words or way to say that. And I'm edging between the two, but I know ever more situations where I can trust in my resourcefulness and then go from there. When really, what I also feel is if I really trust in that, then the wisdom can flow through me, which would be the highest frequency state, where like pure wisdom can come through me, which maybe there are glimpses of sometimes. So for each of the areas in your life, you would have these 3 words, which you take into a contemplation. And again, it's like you take them inside to then live and see the reflection of feedback in the outer world.
Beautiful. So it's really about also using that as a tool for the reflection to grow and to be aware that it's not by coincidence that certain things happen in your life, and that it's a pattern which is not always obvious to everybody, that we do live in patterns that are much bigger than our own doing, but that they are given by the time we were born, etc. So it's humbling, actually, what you're saying. And just one last question with regards to archetypal energy. As you know, I'm working since many years with archetypes, particularly leadership archetypes. When I look at the frequency they're at, archetypal energies are something that in my understanding are also a construct that is evolved over many, many thousands of years within human history. So the way I understand it is tapping into that frequency, tapping into that cultural creation of humanity. We can also start to look at what can we change so that our human destiny can start changing, isn't it? If I understand it properly, personally, but also collectively.
Yes, exactly.
Because you are interested also in collective intelligence.
Yes, that if we find like each our like strengths really, or if we live mostly on the gift level, yes, we can help to move humanity along. I mean, the collective evolution is impacted by that.
Yeah. So by being aware of our shadows and starting to, like we do practice here in the Garden of Rose, to just be transparent so that each of us can learn and grow, is to really heighten that field of consciousness as well. Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to your offer, Anja. So all the information will be shared on the site as you're offering some sessions around Christmas soon, but other offers are already in the making. And thank you so much for this conversation that we just had today.
Yeah, thank you again, Cécile, for inviting me.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.